Well, the women's Sky Rugby or Picky competition kicks off this weekend along with the men's competition, and we're very privileged on Absolutely Famous to have as our special guest former Black Fern star, actually midfield star, Chelsea Semple. Chelsea, welcome. It's been a bit of a roller coaster few months for you, I would imagine.
Yeah, it has been. Thanks for having me. Always happy to have a chat on here. But yeah, for myself, it's been a hectic last year actually. Got married a year ago, and then quite suddenly and a little bit unexpectedly found out I was pregnant toward the end of last year while me and my husband were overseas. So yeah, my role in the Opiki this year is going to be looking a little bit different with the Chiefs. So yeah, I'm just getting used to that, and I'm used to being sidelined with quite itchy feet. It's all a bit of a change, but yeah, still staying involved as much as I can.
Oh, good on you, good on you. Well, life changing, of course, having babies, and I'm sure that'll only enhance your already amazing life. And I guess it would have been pretty tough on you before the World Cup, missing out on that squad because you know you were part of it for a long time in the Black Ferns. And did injury play a bit in that? I mean, you were injured against Australia. I think that wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely tough. One of the toughest things I've been through. First time missing selection since I was first selected back in kind of 2012. So yeah, I went through a lot last year. Missed a lot of rugby. Initially missed the Opiki competition, about 80% of it due to long COVID, and then I got the flu during the first Black Ferns tour in Pack 4, so I missed most of that as well. And then missed most of FPC with a hamstring niggle. And then in the Laurie O'Reilly series in Aussie, first 10 minutes of the game, I got concussed pretty badly, and I was out for a while with that. So at the time of selection, I was available for selection, knowing that I'd be okay to play. But I think as the coaches said to me, it was a pretty rough road for me last year in terms of injury, and I guess coming back from injuries and playing in a World Cup like that is quite tough to do. So all of that had to be taken into consideration, and yeah, I respected the coach's decisions, even though it was tough on myself. But like they say, everything happens for a reason, and it was during the World Cup period that I fell pregnant. So I think that was my reason, and yeah, it's I guess that just proves that. So yeah, very excited and happy now.
Every cloud has a silver lining. Did you get some feedback from Wayne Smith and the other coaches? Did they have a chat to you?
Yeah, Wayne Smith came and met me personally and sat down, and he was very empathetic, and he was very sorry the fact that I wasn't going to be part of the World Cup, and he did tell me that if anything was to happen, I'd be kind of first cab on the rank, and he made sure I knew that he valued my leadership and experience amongst the girls, and he knew it was tough on me. So yeah, he was very nice about the whole thing, but at the end of the day, he had to make decisions based on what he saw that year and based on what he thought was going to be best for the tournament. And I think we can all agree that every decision that guy made turned to gold. So yeah, can't be mad at the professor for that.
He's a top man. There's no doubt about that. But yeah. So I've never been an elite sports person, so I don't know how you cope when you miss selection. It must have really tested your resolve.
Yeah, it does, and I think the important thing that I've learned is it is like a grieving process, especially when a team like the Black Ferns means so much to you, and that's been your biggest dream, is to play at a home World Cup. So it was a lot of emotions I had to go through, but I was really, really lucky with my support system. My husband's heavily involved in rugby, so he understands all that emotion, and there's a couple of kind of my best rugby mates, Carla Hohepa being one that missed out in the Waikato as well. So me and her continued to train the whole way through, and we knew that if anything was to happen in our positions, we could be called up. So there was a little bit of time to grieve and be sad, but for us, we were pretty much straight back on the horse and making sure that we were as fit as we could be, just in case the team needed us.
Well, you're still a young lady. You've still got years ahead of you playing if you want to. Are you keen to carry on playing rugby after baby's born?
Yeah, I am. I've made it clear that I do want to come back. I think apart from last year and all the injuries and misfortunes that happened, I was just starting to play some of my best rugby. So I'd like to think that after having the baby, I'll be able to bounce back, and I'd love to play another season for Chiefs Manawa in the Waikato FPC team, and then see what happens from there. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself at this point, but to me, I've been involved in rugby for so long, and I love training. I love pushing myself. So that's just part of my lifestyle, and I think even after I've had baby, that might give me an even bigger reason to, make my family proud and make myself proud, and come back and play some more good rugby, hopefully.
I'm sure you will if you decide to. Excuse me. The women's Sky Rugby or Picky kicks off, of course, this weekend. And can you sense a new excitement amongst the girls after what happened at the World Cup, which was amazing?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not just amongst the girls; it's amongst the country and the world. The buzz around women's rugby, and prior to the World Cup last year, Super Rugby Opiki, the inaugural season, was outstanding, and I think New Zealand got to see a little slice of what a Super Women's Rugby tournament could be like. So the hype's been building from then, I think, and then obviously what we witnessed that happen at the World Cup is just going to keep propelling the game forward, and the exposure that so many of our girls got to international footy last year and that high quality of rugby is going to mean this year's competition is going to be even better to watch, even more exciting, more skills on display, more entertaining. So yeah, I'm super excited this weekend, and I think the games are going to be bloody close. But yeah, I hope the rest of the country's still on board and get behind all the teams as well.
Well, I've never watched more replays of a game than I watched the Black Ferns versus England final, because I was at a wedding and missed it live. So, but I just, every time I watch it, I'm just blown away.
It's some good rugby, wasn't it? And I was there at the game, and to have a sold out Eden Park and hear some of the comments from the older fellas who never thought that women should be playing rugby, for them to do 180 and now attend some of the games live. To me, that's just a massive win for us and for our game. And if we can change the minds of those types of people, then we're definitely on the right track.
Well, I mean, some of the girls have become household names overnight virtually, haven't they? I mean, Portia Woodman was always great. Ruby Tui's just magic for the sport. Stacey Fleuler, you name it, they're superstars.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the best things about women's rugby is that when you watch the players and when you hear them do the interviews, they're 100% themselves and they bring their own personality into the game. So I feel like you get to know the players more. In the men's game, there's a lot more media training from a young age. And you don't, I guess, get to see into their lives as much. But there's just so much personality in the team, and I think that's what helps make it great.
I was about to say that in my next statement about how I enjoyed the press conferences afterwards. I think one of the best ones I saw was Ruhe Dement, your captain, and Wayne Smith at the end of the tournament. It was one of the most insightful interviews I've ever seen.
The girls are just keen to, let the public into what goes on in our camp. It's not like this big secret. It's just allowing everyone to see behind the scenes and see what we see and feel what we feel. And again, I think that's just what makes it so unique and different. So you can fall in love with not just the player on the field, but with the player off the field and the team kind of behind the cameras as well.
There must be. I mean, even on the bus on the way to the game, are you guys the same in the Chiefs Manawa team? Do you sort of just a joy to be there?
Oh, the girls the Chiefs girls at the airport this morning at 6 a.m. in Hamilton, and they got their blimmin' speakers blasting and they're laughing and carrying on and playing card games. It's always there's just so many cool personalities and characters in the team. It's always fun to be in and amongst it.
Of course, to me, looking in, you take a lot of pressure off yourself with that attitude, because the result is not the be-all and end-all for you. It's just icing on the cake, I suspect.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason that makes it so special, is because we've been amateur for so long. All the girls that play rugby for the pure love of the game. It's not for the next big contract or the next big signing, or, you know, to make sure you've still got a career. It's playing rugby for the love of the game, and it's only been the last year or two that you know, you're able to make a little bit of a living off it, but it's still majority just, you know, you go and you play, and whatever happens in the result, you're having fun along the way.
Just harking back to the World Cup briefly, the English players, I mean, you had to feel for England if you were a non-Kiwi supporter. They'd gone through a couple of years, a magnificent unbeaten record. They looked as though early on they were going to win the final, but did you have any contact with the English girls afterwards or during? How were they? Were they good people?
I had some contact with some of the ex-England players who I've played against a long time, and yeah, they obviously heard a lot in that tourney. They were sure favourites to win, but on the day it didn't go their way, and that's sport, and that's the beauty of sport, I think. I mean, they were on a 30-game unbeaten record, and to lose in the absolute pinnacle event to the team that you thumped less than a year before is pretty unheard of. So I did feel for them. I felt for them. Obviously, they had that red card in the final, which was a big factor. But again, that's just the game, and that's the rules. And, you know, the interesting thing for me now is going to be what happens when they meet up again this year or next year. I know the Black Ferns have been on a bit of a high, and they all had a little bit of time off, but they've come back strong for Opaki. But I think those English girls will be hurting, and they'll probably come back even stronger. So it's going to be a blowing good few years of international footy. It's
your team, the Chief Manawa, look pretty good. I mean, you've got a host of Black Ferns players here, just off the top of my head. Luca Connor, Tanya Kulinavi, Chelsea Bremner, Kennedy Simon, Hazel Tubick. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we have gone through a bit of a changeover, particularly in the backs this year. From last year, we're missing Kelly Brazier, Stacey Flula, Portia Woodman, Ruby Tui, myself, and Renee Whitcliffe. And Ari Baylor. So I think that's 7 or 8.
That's a massive hole.
Yeah, of our kind of almost starting backs. But in saying that, we've been able to breed in a whole lot of new young girls who are finally going to get the opportunity to play on a big stage. And the girls that you mentioned before, the Black Ferns of the team, as well as Carla Hohepa and Arihiana Marino Tohinu, having those girls scattered around these young, exciting players with lots of potential is the best way to make sure that they're not overawed by the occasions, and they're able to flourish as we've seen them do at training. So, yeah, a little bit of a different team, but it's still a very solid group of experienced players, and amongst some raw, fresh talent as well that we're going to see this weekend, I think.
Yeah, it's exciting. Is there one or two newcomers in the side we should look out for who you think have got real superstar quality?
Well, not so much newcomers, but we've managed to. You've mentioned Chelsea Bremner already, who's come up from us too. We've got Charmaine Smith back, ex-Black Fern, who's had a baby. She's been up in Northland, so we've got her back in the team as well. But yeah, I think in the backs as well, we've got Tanika Willison, who's come over from Sevens for a season with us. She'll be playing in at fullback, and she's an unreal talent back there. She'll be able to help Hazel Tubick in creating stuff. So yeah, she's definitely one to watch.
And you've got Hurricanes Poa and Levin on Saturday. So how do you rank the Hurricanes side? Are they going to give you a good
Hurricanes, run? I look at their team and they have just firepower across the whole field. They've probably got the team with the most people who can just make something out of nothing, particularly when you look at the likes of Aisha Letienga and Shakira Baker. If a few of those girls, they've got a very good tight five as well, with Crystal Murray and Te Kura Ngāta Airanga Māti down there as well. So they're full of experience and they're full of just full of X factor. So you never know what kind of team you're going to get on the day. They probably won't play with too much structure. They'll play a lot off the cuff. And they'll try beat teams up the middle. So we just have to be up for that, I think. But I think Paua this year, my opinion, they're the team for us to beat.
Yeah. How's your new head coach getting on, Cheryl? Now the pronunciation. Can you pronounce it properly?
Crystal Kaua?
Yeah, Crystal.
Crystal Kaua, your
Crystal.
mother, we call her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good. I mean, it's pretty cool to have a couple of female head coaches in Opiki this year, and she's up against one of her best mates, Victoria Grant, who's head coach of Paua this weekend as well. The three of us all played varsity club rugby and Waikato FPC rugby together, so it's awesome to see them take those roles on. And yeah, I hear Torza's doing a good job and Muzza's also doing a bloody good job. So yeah, different style of rugby for us this year with a new head coach, but exciting all the same.
Oh, that's good. Well, we hope to have Crystal on as a guest next week, so we'll look forward to chatting to her about it. And of course, the other match on Matatu versus the Blues down at Dunedin at Forsyth Bar there. They certainly won't have to worry about the conditions under the roof.
Nah, it's a pretty good place to play for them, and I think a ground like that will suit Matatu. They'll probably be the fittest and fastest team in the competition, whereas the Blues have a bit more size and a bit more mongrel. So again, I think the outcome of that game is going to depend on which team can play the game the way that they want it played. And it's going to be another good matchup though. That game was super close last year, and I think we'll have the same this year. I'm just buzzing. I can't wait to watch them, to be honest.
Good stuff. Are you still doing some work with Sky, commentating and comments?
Yep, I am.
Awesome.
I'm starting with them after Opiki. Obviously, they've done the draw for all the Opiki games before I kind of told anyone that I was pregnant and not playing Opiki. So they just assumed I was playing. But yeah, I'll be doing some of the Super Rugby Pacific games throughout the season. So that'll be good just to stay amongst rugby and be sidelined and being able to talk about footy, which I like to do.
Yeah, you've got
pregnant on the sidelines.
Yeah, you got a great crew at Sky. They're over here. We get it on Stan, and there's some great commentators, great ladies and men commentating over here too. It's good fun.
No, it's good. Some good banter between the countries as well, which is always good.
Yeah, good stuff. Chelsea, thanks so much for being a guest on our show. Really appreciate it, and all the best with Bubs coming along soon, and I'm sure that'll be life-changing in the best way.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the chat.